What's up, everyone? This is Myra. Here's the deal. Here on the show, it's basically my job as your host to find interesting guests, to learn more about what makes them so interesting, and basically work to weave these folks and their stories into a comprehensive and hopefully sometimes entertaining theme of sorts. But since we started doing Homegoings Shorties, a lot of that work is not mine anymore. These mini episodes are predicated on questions from you, our audience members and listeners. So there's been a lot less of the usual and more digging to try to find the answers. But what if someone asks a question that doesn't quite have a answer, or a right or a wrong one, at least, or a black or a white one, or even a historical reference? Any of the things that we typically lean on as journalists. This is what has happened in our most recent shorty. We threw a Homegoings event. Raph Draws was in the audience, and they stepped up to the mic to ask, I think, maybe the most subjective question I've ever heard.
What does the concept of mother and child mean to you?
That's definitely going to be a shorty. Definitely. 15 minutes.
So easy.
So I got to, yeah. Oh, it's going to be rough. Okay. This is Homegoings. I'm Myra Flynn, and welcome back. Sort of. No, season 3 still hasn't launched yet, but if you've been following our wind down of season 2, you know that we put out a call to you, homies, to send us your curiosities that we'll do our best to answer while we are between seasons. Today, a very personal question from Raph Draws, who wants to know specifically what the concept of motherhood means to me. Normally, I'd make a joke like, how much time you got? But since this is a shorty, we know that we have 15 minutes to answer this massive question. All right, challenge accepted. Let's do this thing. This is a Homegoings Shorty. We're a proud member of the NPR network. Welcome home. All right, Raph. Hello. Because I've realized that this question is impossible to narrate or script, because it's my opinion, I'm just not going to do any of that. I'm just going to talk on the mic, and I've never done that before. But I will say, lucky for the episode, I am back in my LA home for the holiday season, and my kid is here, and my mom is visiting. So we'll get to hear some generational thoughts today, not just mine. In the meantime, let's start at the beginning. I think I was voted least likely to ever have a child by my friend group, or I don't know, people who looked in on me. I think that they thought that I was going to just sing and travel and make content and be available for the whole world and not, and that is kind of the antithesis of being a mom. I think in our minds, anyway, in America. When I think about being a mom and the expectations that come with it, there's at least certainly a narrative of sacrifice. But of course, the way that we work and function as a capitalistic society, sacrifice doesn't always square with that ideal. And if you're an artist, it hits different. I have to be honest. The amount of output it takes to create art, to make singing your livelihood for, I think I've been doing it 25 years now, is kind of like having a child. It's kind of like having a kid. It's temperamental. It requires all of your resources. It often, gives nothing back in the sense that it can't give you equal reciprocity in how it shows up for you. It's just something to constantly pour into. And then you make these albums and you birth them in a way. And so basically all I'd ever known about the dedication and the subservient nature to any one higher power in my life was music. But even that's boring, right? After a while, eventually you start seeking higher powers than what you think is the highest. I moved out to LA because the labels I was writing for all moved out to LA. And I just thought, another city after New York, after Australia. I'd lived in these places before, and I was like, here I go with my hustle. And then I met my husband, Phil Wills, and I don't know what to say about Phil. I heard a quote pretty recently that said, love is a bench. It's just a bench that you can walk by and sit on and rest at and feel like you can take a load off and somebody else has got you. And when I met Phil, we had that bench. We had that bench in common. So something told me when I met him, I was 32 years old, and I said, I think I might let this man put a baby in me. Because he was so steady. And I ended up in LA for such a different reason. I ended up coming out here to find this really conventional life that I still wake up in the morning and can't believe I'm living. And I kick and scream against how conventional my life is at times, but I do so less now with Avalon. Avalon is our daughter. In exactly 4 days, she is turning 5. When I was pregnant, I never had any pots and pans. And I joke about that, but it's not a joke. I didn't have any, Phil and I, we didn't have any pots and pans. We had, a room in a house with multiple roommates. We just wanted to stay light on our toes so we could go to the next gig. But when I got pregnant, I realized, oh, okay, first things first, before I even know this child, motherhood means making a home for someone else. And the first thing I bought were new pots and pans. I bought new pots and pans. I figured if you have pots and pans and maybe a plant that you don't kill, then, you have a home. And I had to learn, I had to learn about all of it. I had to learn about everything from the crib to the bassinet to, nipple cream to whatever, And then our birth, it was wild. We had a 5-day labor and a really, pretty racist birth, if I'm honest. And that birth was my first instinct to protect someone besides myself. So I learned pretty early on that motherhood was protection. We've navigated career shifts, COVID, racial reckonings. We've moved across the country twice as a family now. My parents are getting older, and it gets so outside of just surviving. In a way, which I always say that first 6 months when you have a baby is kind of a garbage but blissful time because you are surviving and it's hard. But then after that, you've got a new challenge because you need to be a consistent, steady bench for your child. So I think motherhood to me means consistency, in my mind at least. But I think my mother thinks that I really struggle with that. Can you check it one more time, Mama?
Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah. It's nice out.
Mm-hmm.
So the question that I got from a Homegoings listener, Raph, is what does motherhood mean to you, like me? And so I think my first question is like, as my mother, what do you observe motherhood means to me?
Caretaking is what jumps out at me initially.
What do you mean by that? Because I think caretaking is inherent with a kid.
Oh, I don't. I think you can learn it, and if I didn't believe that, then those that were just not mothered, but are doomed to not repeat that and do it a different way, they have a chance to do that, because I don't think it's necessarily inherent.
For everyone, yeah.
Yeah, or else we would all be doomed.
Because you'd think that, like, a lot of mothers don't inherently have caretaking.
Right. Oh, they were not cared. They didn't receive necessarily what they wanted or needed, and so they said to themselves, if it ever is my time and my turn, I know I might not know what I want to do, but I know what I don't want.
So what does that look like for you with me, my caretaking?
It looks like it's sweet. It's lenient. It's joyful. It's smart. It's permissive at times.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun. It's creative. Yeah, it's almost futuristic, where you build in things that you know down the road will be necessary.
What do you think I struggle with the most as a mom?
Consistency.
In what?
In whatever your request is. Not if it's not. It's time to something simple, which isn't simple. Time to get ready for your bath. To not get off topic, it's time to get ready for your bath. Let's do it. No, or time. This is what we're having for dinner. Yeah, I can appreciate you'd rather have this, but maybe you can save room for option B.
Really? I feel like of dinner anyway, Avalon eats the world. I more so have to struggle with, like, could you please stop eating 12 dinners and asking for 16 desserts? And she doesn't have a finicky palate. But I understand what you mean otherwise. Like, if it were another example, do you think there's any generational differences? Because I identify more with you as a parent, I'd say. I have very high standards for my daughter, but I try to meet it with love. I try to trust that she will get there. You know, I try to have some trust in her and some faith in her and allow her to walk around with that.
I think it's generational, that's for sure.
It might be. But
I do. You want her to know that she's of the blessed ones.
Yeah.
In my humble opinion. And therefore, much is expected.
Yeah.
From her. I'd be heartbroken down the road to learn that she didn't understand that she's from the blessed group. And therefore, there's a certain amount of responsibility that comes, in my humble opinion, that comes with being from that group.
What is the blessed group to you?
She'll have her health and strength and faculties. She'll have people that are willing to, she'll call and they'll hear in her voice, I'm on my way, hang on. To me, as opposed to, I'm all by myself. I gotta figure this out all by myself. Where do I begin?
What do you think motherhood means to me?
It just looks like this big heart.
I look like a big heart.
It looks like just a big ball of love. Hunkin' ball of love.
It's been interesting talking with my mom about this question while she's been here. It's been both like hurtful and important. You know, what she says here about my being permissive and, you know, inconsistent, the way that she was raised and the way that she was taught to raise others as a Black woman, surrounded by other Black women, has a lot to do with really preparing you for survival. And my generation has that, plus this extra layer of like emotional well-being. And, you know, if I'm honest, like my emotional safety was not really a top priority in my upbringing. There was a lot of looking out for me as far as like how I would succeed, how I would show up in the world, what other systems would be able to like accept me, like colleges, etc. And, you know, that I would survive, that I would not do drugs, that I would not, you know, and all of this has worked. Like I did go to college, I don't do drugs. Like it's not to say that it hasn't worked, but I think that I would like my daughter to be able to be soft. You know, I really want that for my mom too. I don't really know if motherhood and softness can be in the same like lexicon for me in my description of a concept of motherhood, because it is not something that I believe Black women get to have. I guess the best way I can say it is I strive for a really peaceful household. I strive for it. I take my arguments elsewhere. I keep to myself when I'm extra stressed out. When Avalon does something that would maybe have triggered like a angry response in my household, like, I don't know, like break a glass or spill some milk or do something that was, you know, frustrating to the adults around me, I make it a huge priority to react in an opposite way. And I think where my mother sees me struggle with consistency is like, I clean up the milk, I pick up the glass pieces, I give her a hug and a kiss, and I just say, that's all right, you know? And of course there's a part of me, because I'm 40 years old, there's a part of me that wonders, shit, is this going to backfire? Is this going to backfire on me at some point? And she's just going to take full advantage of me and not know how to, get a job. And, the sky will fall. She will not know how to take care of herself. She's never going to learn how to pick up her clothes or do her laundry. And she's just going to have this open door to, mistreating others and being spoiled. And then I just think about this term spoiled, and I just think about how archaic that is, and also how awful it is, the word spoiled. To tell a child that they are spoiled, or that we don't want you to be spoiled because you have access to your feelings. But I think at the end of the day, I don't want her to grow up to turn out like me. Laugh crying now. I don't want her to be me. I don't want her to be somebody who's so insecure about being soft. I trust that whoever the hell she is, that is, more than enough. It's more than enough. When we come back, some of my parenting in real time, and a little insight from Avalon about her favorite parts of my mothering. And yes, you may have noticed that this episode is already way longer than 15 minutes. Oops. I promise, we tried.
Resuming But Why, a podcast for curious kids from Amazon Music. Who decides what robots look like?
It becomes a little bit trickier to
What are we listening
define what's a robot and what's a tool.
Hi, my name is Joaquin and I'm
Do you like it?
it?
One of the big arguments that I have with my husband, Phil, is around routines. Routines are kind of the last bastion of of my former self, of breaking the freedom, the habits of freedom of my former self. Former self artist did not like a routine, did not adhere to a routine, and really just believes in spontaneity. But, kids need a routine. They need it. And he understands the value of a routine. But I think too much. And I think that I understand the value too little. So we meet somewhere in the middle. And I have my favorite routines that I partake in. And then there are others that I just totally opt out of. Like, I don't know, like after school time. Like, I don't want to do after school time. Like, you're going to go get a stick and dig something up in the yard. Yeah, I don't know, play with some dirt. Like, go get dirty, go do something. But, bath time is important to us. When do we listen to But Why?
When I'm in the bathtub a lot.
Yeah. Why do you like to listen to it in the bathtub?
Because then I get an idea that I could ask a question to do it.
You know that's Auntie Jane's show, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So we can also maybe just ask Auntie Jane some questions because she's a really smart lady.
Yes.
Yeah.
How does she have all those ideas?
Yeah, when Abby's in the bathtub, we do listen to my colleague, Jane Lindholm, and Melody Bodette, and their podcast, But Why, for curious kids. It's such a great show, and Abby often comes out of the bath with a million questions before bedtime, so I really love that. But, she's always loved her baths, and she's got a head full of curly hair like me, and so, I... for whatever it's worth, for mamas with, or parents with kids with with curly hair, the bath is the best time to comb it out. I do it first with my fingers, a little bit of leave-in conditioner. We wash her face, get behind her ears, and we talk.
What do you think I'm good at being a mama?
Cooking.
Really?
I love the chili.
You love my chili?
Mm-hmm.
Really? More than my tacos?
Better.
Really? More than my cheesy eggs?
No. How do you cook so good?
You really like my food, huh?
Mm-hmm.
You want to know the answer?
Yeah.
I do it with love.
I have worries. I worry a lot as a mother. I worry. Well, first of all, I can't stand when she's sick. It's, God, it just makes my whole level of anxiety go crazy because you remember a time when they couldn't articulate when they were sick. And so you can't quite shake that. I can't quite shake that yet. But I worry a lot about her. And I think this stems from my own PTSD about being raised in Vermont. I worry about her being the only one of anywhere or anything in the room. I don't want her to be the only Black kid in the school. I don't want that to be the normal thing. I don't want that to be like Vermont's still really working on diversity. And so we don't have a lot of Black kids, but one day we'll get there. Like, no, like not in my house, not over my child's body. Ain't nobody got time for that from our perspective. And I do have, and probably will always have some really shattered parts of myself from feeling like the only one in the room, and where do I really belong, and how do I fit in, and should I make a habit out of standing out, blah, blah, blah. So I think for her, we're not going to do that.
In my belly, anything like that.
How did I eat in your belly?
How did you eat?
Mm-hmm.
Will you see like your belly button?
Mm-hmm.
You see my belly button?
Mm-hmm.
There used to be a long cord that went from my belly button to your belly button.
She's probably clean, not getting a bath every single night, but that routine is something that calms her body. It puts us in kind of a more, I don't know, collaborative space. We both know that bedtime is coming soon, and it's a time to be at peace and relax. This book.
1 black, 3 red, 3 green.
What's that stand for?
I forget what they all stand for.
Right. But what's the holiday?
Kwanzaa.
Yeah, and do we celebrate Kwanzaa?
Yes.
That's so special because you know who wrote this book? Omega Jade. And she's somebody who's from Vermont. And she's an artist like Mama. She does hip hop. Rap.
And I know she writes books because she wrote this book.
Yeah, she's an author. She does a lot of cool things.
I think the biggest struggle that I have is not with motherhood. It's with familyhood. It's with this ever-present tribe of people that you have elected to be with you forever. How different that is from the world that I came from. And I'd say most days I love it. And then some days, I dream about just getting a hotel room by myself with a book and a fireplace and just going to sleep. Because you will never, ever, 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 ever sleep the same way once you're a mother. Even if you have all the time in the world, even if I got that hotel, I would never sleep the same. I'm hardwired differently to keep someone alive. So I hang my hat on those few moments that have popped up organically, where family feels organic for me. Familyhood does, where motherhood feels organic. Interestingly enough, it's really cool around Kwanzaa for us because I did not grow up celebrating Kwanzaa. That is something that Phil and I have researched and spent time educating our daughter about, and something that we celebrate. And it falls directly on her birthday. And it's a special organic family memory and time for us that isn't centered in gifts and, you know, a bunch of junk and crap. It's not centered in religion. It is centered in unity, Blackness, family, prosperity, all of these beautiful things. And I love that Avalon knows this as a organic and regular part of her life and her family now.
I always imagine people going up a ramp into a church to celebrate Kwanzaa.
Well, we need
and
to...
everybody lining up.
You always really like to go to church, don't you?
Mhm.
You want to go again?
Mhm.
We can go again. We can do that.
I will go to the same church that you took me to that has a lot of toys.
Okay. And they fed you some Jamaican patties, huh?
Mhm. They're yummy.
They were so good, my goodness.
Did you even taste them?
Oh yeah, they gave me one.
I forget.
And Papa and I were in there celebrating with the grown-ups.
I think it was Uma Thurman who said something to the effect of, having a child is the closest you can feel to one of your organs. Like, pick any organ, just like leaping outside of your body and living. And you have to keep track of it. You have to make sure it doesn't get run over by a car. You have to make sure that it is safe and thriving. So maybe that's like your spleen or your liver. But whatever it is, it's mine. Motherhood is mine. It is mine. I've never had anything so mine to define. Truly, there is no map. There is no right way. There are only examples of 500 million other ways. And so, truly, when you look around the room to say, who's the adult in the room? Who's going to help me make this decision? Who's going to tell me when to breathe when I'm pushing? Who's going to help me navigate the NICU? How will I know if she's eating, if she's crying because she's starving, or if she's crying because she's tired? Will she be able to stand in her Blackness with pride? Will she be able to know when a teacher is telling her something that's incorrect? Will she be able to be kind? Will she be kind? Will she be kinder than me? When you look for the person to give you the answers, you're it. Hi.
Mama.
Hi, baby. I was just finishing talking to my microphone. How was your day?
Good.
Yeah.
Papa saw you in your orange car.
Where did he see me?
On the way to party, Party store.
Oh, really? When I was driving back from yoga. Oh, I love you. I love you, baby.
What's this thing?
Raph Draws. Thank you for gifting me with the opportunity to talk this out. I really believe and have experienced that once children are born, mothers of all kinds don't get checked in on enough. We don't get asked about. So I think just your tender act of asking this question felt like some much needed healing for me. Plus, it was really great fun to put the mic to my mama and daughter. This shorty, which obviously turned into a longie, will be like a little time capsule we can all return to again and again. And of course, thank you so much for listening to this Homegoing Shorty and listening more. It's been a pleasure being here with you today. This episode was reported and edited and mixed by me with support from our associate producer, James Stewart. I composed our theme music, and all other music is by Blue Dot Sessions. Elodie Reed is our graphic artist behind our Homegoings artist portraits. We've got 3 generations of Mathis Flynn ladies front and center on this one, looking, dare I say, soft. So check us out at homegoings.co. We have more shorties and conversations coming for you in the weeks ahead, as well as some big announcements for season 3. So stay tuned to the feed and be sure that you are subscribed so you don't miss a thing. If you have thoughts, reflections, or asks of me as your host about who we should talk to or what we should explore, or if you have a shorty, write to me at hey@homegoings.co. As always, you are welcome here. And happy Kwanzaa.